So, as of 2 days ago, SAG-AFTRA approved a deal that would end these historic strikes. To say that I'm relieved is an understatement, and I will get into my reasons for why I am relieved, and not my involvement, but how it affected me. But also, we got some movie updates. Films can resume filming, people can get back to work, so it is a damn good day to have a pulse. So in terms of how the strikes affected me, it's one of those things where you hear the term stand in solidarity. Now, if by some divine miracle, if the stars aligned, if my piss poor acting from Uncharted, The Oxus Redemption made its way into the minds of people that saw it, and then obviously if I did some more acting here and there and I had the opportunity to join SAG, if they looked back and saw that I was doing, say, paid campaigns and stuff like that during the strikes of Struck Studios, they would revoke my application to join SAG. It is probably the worst rule I have ever heard, but if you're going to stand in solidarity, you got to stand in solidarity. So I had to knock back a lot of campaigns. At one point, I was about to fly to London with Warner Brothers for the premiere of Blue Beetle and even interview Xolo Maridueña. A day later, the strikes happened. And because it was under the same contract, I had already signed a contract, I could still do that 3D printed Blue Beetle helmet that some of you may have seen on my Instagram or my main YouTube channel. And that was a cool little thing where if you had signed a contract, you could still see that deal and that job through, which was great. So that's why it did take a bit of time. Warner Brothers and myself went back to the drawing board and we're like, okay, what can we do now that London isn't happening, obviously because the actors aren't promoting their movie? And I thought, let's do a 3D printed helmet. It still falls under the contract, so it's safe to do so, but I wasn't allowed to go to events and stuff like that. Thank fuck. I could still do reviews because it's transformative, it's an opinion, it's not exactly promoting the film, it's giving your opinion on it and critiquing it, so you were allowed to review films that had just come out, and it seriously was the most painful couple of months, and I know I should not be complaining because there are people who work in the industry who are with SAG who are not being paid fairly, but at the same time, it was fucking frustrating. But here we are, they have reached a deal, people are going to be taken care of now. Towards the finish line, it was all about the AI. I still think it's disgusting that they were scanning background actors, paying them a one-off fee and using their likeness for eternity. To me, that just seems like a massive violation of yourself. Now that all of that's out of the way, we've got some filming updates. Things can resume filming. We have some new filming dates now. Now the article I'm going to be referencing comes from The Guardian. So we're going to be starting off with Deadpool 3. This is the one I am looking most forward to out of what's coming out next year. Ryan Reynolds put up a post saying we have moved the filming date from May 3rd to be exact, to July 26, 2024. They were in the thick of filming himself. We saw Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine in a traditional Wolverine costume. Obviously the strikes happened, they had to shut down production, but now they're getting back into the swing of things. Ryan Reynolds has already put up a photo of himself, the director, and Hugh Jackman getting back together, so they're not fucking around. A lot of productions aren't fucking around. They don't have time to waste nor money to waste. They gotta get back to work. Next up, and it's one I keep forgetting that's in the pipeline, Gladiator 2. So Ridley Scott's follow-up to his Oscar-winning epic had already gone through enough behind-the-scenes drama before he got the green light. The original was 23 years ago. Shit. But 2 months into production, the spears were put down as the actors' strike took hold. The film starring Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal will now be restarted as soon as possible. This cast is massive. They're still adding people, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how this pans out. In terms of the timeline, I've really got to do my reading into it and see where it takes place, whether it's before or after Russell Crowe's Gladiator, which is still a banger of a film. Now here's one I'm very apprehensive about, but also want to be surprised and charmed at the same time. Wonka. So while we're talking about Timothée Chalamet, his Dune Part 2 was also moved from 2023 to 2024. So the film is pretty much done. It was just essentially the promotion for the film the cast and crew could not do, but obviously things are going to resume with that now. Now here's another one that is pretty much on par with Deadpool 3, Beetlejuice. So Beetlejuice 2 only had 2 days left of filming before everyone went home. Of course, we know the follow-up brings back Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, while bringing in Wednesday's Jenna Ortega into the new lead. She plays Winona Ryder's daughter, which is really cool. It just makes sense. They look like mother and daughter. Now, Warner Brothers had dated it for September 2024, which is still seen as doable given that Burton has said that the film is 99% done, which is great. Fingers crossed. I don't want this to be delayed. I'm so keen and excited, especially to see what Michael Keaton looks like as Beetlejuice. Like, he is going to nail it. The guy still has the energy of a 10-year-old on red cordial. It's ridiculous. Next up, we have Venom 3. So they're actually shifting filming locations now that filming has resumed, now that the strikes are over. So they actually started filming in Spain in June, and its star Tom Hardy is joined by Juno Temple for the sequel, which is expected to move to London now that the strike is over. Now, the film had been dated for a next July release, but this week Sony moved the film to a November 2024 release. August, September, October, November, 4 months, not bad. And finally, we have the Wicked movie, which actually started production nearly a year ago, December 2022. And looking at some of the set photos, looks incredible. And then obviously they had to shut down, go home, which is pretty painful. Now, Wicked is actually going to be split into 2 parts, with the first one dropping in November of 2024. Now, in terms of what I'm most excited for, it's pretty obvious: Deadpool 3 and Beetlejuice. Again, at the end of the day, I'm happy that things have been sorted and that people who work in Hollywood and who are with SAG are going to be looked after now. Oh, also, I'm all for transparency. Like, I would have stuff sent to me by studios, and there'll be times where they're like, can we send you stuff? I'm like, I can't. I'm like standing in solidarity, and they just send it anyway. And like, this has been sitting here for months, and yeah, it's been a headache and a half. But again, I'm glad things are back to normal. Glad people are getting looked after now. Love you guts, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.